Hey, how's it going? It's Logan from Broadfield. In the next 11 or so minutes, I'm going to be showing you how to set up your Kiloview server using AWS. Please keep in mind there's not an official guide on how to do this, and some of the steps may be unnecessary, but this is a process I've tried a few times that works. When completed, your server will be able to manage your Kiloview devices, support multi-link bonding for the P-series, as well as stream RTMP and SRT. The steps are pretty simple. First, we want to set up the Amazon Web Service environment, configure our security groups, and you will want to configure your network firewall rules as well. Set up web server access, installing the prerequisites such as Docker, and then installing the Kiloview Server Pro, and finally just verifying that the Kiloview server install worked. As stated previously, I'm going to be using Amazon Web Services for this deployment, so if this is your first time using Amazon Web Services, I'd highly recommend you taking a few minutes to get accustomed and familiar with the interface. Starting off on the EC2 dashboard, we're going to want to click this orange Launch Instance button, and we'll be taken to the instance creation page. The first thing we want to do is give our server a name. I'm going to give it something simple. I'm going to name it Kiloview Server. Next, we want to select our operating system, so go ahead and click Ubuntu, and then we want to select which version of Ubuntu we want. We're looking for Ubuntu Server 22.04 LTS HVM with SQL Server 2022 Standard. And you're just going to get a little pop-up. You can click Confirm Changes. Next, we want to select our instance type, and this is basically our virtual machine hardware. So go over to Compare Instance Types, and scroll down until you find C5 Large. Select that one, and then select Instance Type. Next, we need to make a key pair. I'm going to set mine up to be used with PuTTY. So we can click Create New Key Pair, give it a name. I'm going to give it something simple, KV Server, and then since I'm using PuTTY, I'm going to select PPK. When I click Create Key Pair, you'll see that it's been downloaded. Next up is Network Settings. We're not going to touch anything here, so you can leave it as is. For storage, I'm going to bump it up to 30 gigabytes. This instance doesn't really need to be that big. And with that, we can now go over to the right and click the orange Launch Instance button. And this process will take a few seconds. And with that, our instance has been created. And from here, we can click Instances in the top left to be brought to our instance page. Now we're ready to configure our security groups. So on the left-hand side, you'll see something called Network and Security. Go down, click Security Groups. And you'll be taken to this page where there are several different security groups. If this is your first time creating a cloud instance, it will be Launch Wizard 1. You can also check under the description to see when it was created to ensure you're choosing the right one. So go ahead and click on your security group and edit inbound rules. You'll see a few rules in here already by default. The second one is what we're going to be using when we connect with PuTTY, so I'm just going to go ahead and give that a nickname now. I'm just going to name it PuTTY. And then we're going to go ahead and click Add Rule, a custom TCP on port range 5960 to 7960. And over here, we're going to select 0.0.0.0-0, and we're going to be using this for all of the rules we set up. And this one is going to be our NDI TCP in. Going to go ahead and add another rule. This one's going to be custom UDP, those same 5960 to 7960 ports. And this is NDI UDP in. The next ones we're going to set up are for SRT and RTMP. Custom TCP again on port 30,000 to 33,000. And this is our SRT and RTMP TCP in. I'm going to do the same thing here, but UDP, 30,000 to 33,000. This one is SRT, RTMP, UDP. Next two we're going to set up are our web access ports. Let's go ahead and click Add Rule again. and we want to select HTTP, and this is going to be one of our web access ports. Go ahead and add another rule. This one a custom TCP again, port 83. And this will be our second web access rule. You're going to add another rule, a custom UDP, port 50,000 to 50,001. And this one is going to be for our Kiloview devices. So I'm going to name this one external devices. And then the last rule we have to set up is for our MDNS server. It's going to be a custom UDP, port 5353, and then I'm just going to name this one MDNS. And with that, we've set up all of our rules, so we can go ahead and click Save, and we'll be brought back to this page. Now that we've finished setting up our security groups, I'll show you how to connect to the server. From this network security group page, go over to the left and click Instances, select your server, and then up in the top right area, click Connect. You'll be taken to this page, and then we can just click Connect. And it's that simple. We just have a few more things to do before we can actually install the server. First up, we want to log in with admin privileges, so type in sudo space su. And then from there, we want to check to see if we have any updates, so type in apt space update. Once that's done, go ahead and type in apt-get space upgrade and hit enter to install the updates. Type Y and hit enter to accept. Eventually you will be prompted with a yes or no question, and you can use the arrow keys to move over to yes and then hit enter to accept. This update process will take a few minutes, and eventually you will be prompted again. You can go all the way down using the arrow keys and then hit enter. And then once that's done, we can install Docker. Next up, we're going to be installing Docker. So type in apt space install space docker.io space -y. Once that's done, we can verify it's been installed by typing in docker space version. And we want to start up Docker, so go ahead and type in systemctl space start space docker. We want to enable the service, so once again type in systemctl space enable space docker.service. And then we just want to verify that we have permissions, and we should since we're logged in as admin, so go ahead and type in docker space ps. And we have no error, so that means we have all the permissions we need. Next up, type in apt space install space avahi-daemon. Type Y and hit enter to accept. The reason I'm doing this now is about halfway through the server install, we will actually be stopped and asked if we want to install this service. So in order to save time, I'm installing it now. Enter this command, it will be posted somewhere in the video or a guide for you to copy, and then hit enter. This is just going to take you through the EULA. You can press the space button or hold it until you're prompted to agree. Enter Y to agree and the install will start. Once this is finished, the next step is to define the install path. I'm just going to use the default one, so we can just go ahead and hit enter. Next up is this little warning. You're going to get this regardless. All it's saying is that it's just going to delete any redundant containers. We can just go ahead and hit enter again. Next up, it's going to ask us to enter a web port, which is the port we're going to be using later when we log in using our browser. I'm going to use port 83. I recommend that. I have a lot less issues using that port. And then it's going to ask us the link port, which is the port for our devices. Leave it as is at 50,000 and hit enter. And next it's going to ask for the public IP, which we can actually just get right down here. Go ahead and copy that. Paste it into the line and hit enter. And with that, your server has been installed. Now with our server fully installed, we can access it from our browser. First up, we can just copy the public IP again from down here. Paste it in our browser, and then at the end of it, add :83, which is the web access port we set up earlier. And then we can log in. Default username is going to be admin, and the password is going to be Kiloview001 with a capital K. Make sure to read and agree to the terms. Click login, and then it's just going to ask you to set up a new password. And you can either keep it the same, or you can set up a new one. The choice is all yours. Once you've done that, go ahead and click OK, and it's just going to ask you to log in one more time with that new password. And with that, you now have access to your Kiloview server, bonding services for the P3, and can add your Kiloview devices.